This video is not going to be for everybody, and it's going to be specifically around astrology and the Ra sun worship cult, okay? And why we don't use a fixed astrological system known as tropical Western astrology, all right? And that is to deal specifically with the precession of the equinoxes, okay? So why the sun is idled as the most important is because it is our local sun. It is the antenna, the transmitter for the cosmic suns. Okay, this is the star systems like Sirius, Orion, all right? And then you have like Andromeda and then Arcturus, and you're having the Spica and Vega, and you have other star systems, okay? That are, when we deal with the precession of the equinoxes, okay? The sun is rising in a specific constellation for the vernal equinox. Currently, right now, it is rising in Pisces, okay? And that denotes the age of Pisces. And the star system that is, or the star systems that are the zodiac sign of Pisces, and then the star systems that are above the ecliptic and below the ecliptic, okay? And that has to do with the sun's path, okay, through the celestial constellations and the sun's influence by said star systems. Okay, this is why we have in certain ages, we have pyramids that are built to Orion, pyramids that are aligned to the constellation of Orion, or Betelgeuse and Betelgeuse, and also the Gemini, the twins, okay? And then we also have pyramids that are built to Canis Minor. We're talking about Sirius. Okay, so we have these pyramids, and this is where you get Isis and Osiris and their mating, or their union. Okay, and each age of the ages will sometimes include multiple star systems. Okay, because not every constellation is 30 degrees. Again, that's a minimization and a taking away from the intensity or the true essence of the impact of the cosmic stars. Another one would be the Pleiades. It's very common. I can't believe I even left that one out. Anyways, and you'll see that there are pyramids that are built to honor that star system. And that would denote the age in which the sun was rising in that constellation. Now, the sun is the local transmitter for the cosmic sun, the higher mind, the higher consciousness, and the influence of those stellar bodies or stars, okay? So what happens is when the sun rises in a certain sign, that those stars or cosmic suns or stellar consciousness is what is influencing the energy that's being transmitted into the collective. And that has to do with our psychological development, okay? And not only is it the stellar consciousness or the collective consciousness of those star systems, but it's also the rays, or which is the light, the influence in which those constellations specifically carry. Because everything is sound, light, vibration made manifest into form, and that happens through us because we are an expression, we are made in the image of God, okay? And God is light, it is sound, it is frequency. And anyways, so when the vernal equinox, the reason why the precession of the equinoxes is so important, why sun worship is not what we should be doing, worshiping our local sun, that is worshiping the lower mind. And we're here to evolve our local sun, our solar plexus, which is our mind, from a lower man mind into a divine mind. And how do we do that? Well, we do that by adhering to the frequencies that are coming through our local sun, but is actually coming through the higher mind. Okay, the stellar bodies, the star systems. And each age, right, which is the age of Pisces, before that it was the age of Aries, which was Andromeda. It's one of the main star systems that influence the age of Aries, the Andromedes, the Android, and anyways, you're getting the point, okay? And before that was Taurus, and there was the Pleiades, and before that was Gemini, okay, because it goes backwards okay? I mean, we're talking backwards here, okay? So that you can get an idea. So Gemini, and that was where we seen Orion, and then before that was Cancer, and that's where we saw Sirius and Isis, and before that, you get what I'm saying. Fourth house being Cancer, then fifth house Leo, sixth house was Virgo, and that's where we had Arcturus, and that was the birth of the divine, and that's where we see the Sphinx, and that the Sphinx being a mixture of the woman and the lion, and that was her child. And okay, so you're seeing, hopefully you're seeing why these pyramids are built where they're built, okay? And it is in honor of the star system and the age in which there was influence, okay? That these star systems were influencing our local sun, our local mind, our local influence, the lower I into the almighty I am, and how it was evolving us as a species, evolving our mind, evolving our intelligence, and all this, okay? So the precession of the equinoxes, where the sun rising, okay, on the vernal equinox, and it does shift 1 degree every 72 years. So you will see, like in Pisces, it is a longer constellation. And so you have multiple star systems, not just Pisces itself, like the two fish, but there are star systems that are above the ecliptic. That's the more yang, okay, above, think up. It goes, the yang and the wang go up, and then the yin is down, okay? And that's the feminine energy. And so the analemma will have the sun's path will have an influence in that, okay? And which star systems it's connecting to, also depending on the day in which, or the degree in which the sun is rising. And now we're about to exit the age of Pisces, about 300 years away from exiting the age of Pisces. And so we're at the end of Pisces, where we're seeing Pegasus being an influence here, the unicorn, and okay. Whereas in the beginning of the age of Pisces, we had Cetus, the whale, and this is where, you hear in the Bible Jesus talking about Jonah going into the belly of the whale. And that was, it is, our mystics wrote these books. The Gnostics, the Essenes, they wrote these in parable so that the wisdom of the ages would be passed on, and then it got turned into literate because of the age or the time that we're existing in, which is the end of time. And so this information is very, very up there, okay? And it also helps people that are into geometry and like trying to believe that the earth is round because certain pyramids don't make a certain alignment, okay, or doesn't make a certain mathematical equation. But if you brought the pyramids back to the age in which those were created, and why the pyramids, like say Orion, or the pyramids of in Egypt and all that were aligned to Orion's belt, it's because it was denoting whenever the sun was rising in Gemini, in Orion. And so that's why, and again, the sun would have been rising in Gemini. So it would have been the age of Gemini. And again, and they have homage or respect for Isis, and again, that had to do with Sirius and the pyramids and the worship of the feminine. And again, we start to see that being phased out as we got to Orion, which is about wars and so on and so forth. Okay, and that's the collective losing or burying the feminine and stepping into the masculine and developing that masculine aspect to the mind, which is logic. And we see that continuing to play out beyond the age of Gemini and into the age of Aries even. When it shifted into the age of Pisces is when in Gemini, and then to Taurus, and then to Pisces. And Taurus was the Pleiades again, and then Aries, and then you have the age of Pisces, is which when we return to spirit, the Alpha, the Omega, and the Christ teachings. And so these epochs will encompass multiple constellations and ages. Ages are short, epochs are bigger. Okay, so it's not about sun worship, our local sun. It's about acknowledging the cosmic suns or the cosmic mind and that influence of the stellar bodies and celestial systems, in which influence our evolution. Thank you for listening.